Imagine being told that your dream was too expensive. Imagine being only 11 years old, with more talent than almost any child around you, but a medical condition threatened to end your football journey before it had even begun. Imagine your family struggling to pay for the medicine that could determine whether you would continue growing or watch your dream disappear. Now imagine leaving your home, your friends, and everything you've ever known at just 13 years old, traveling across the Atlantic Ocean to a country where you didn't know if anyone would believe in you. That little boy would one day lift the greatest trophy in football. He would become an 8-time Ballon d'Or winner, a World Cup champion, a Copa America champion, and one of the greatest footballers in history. This is not just the story of Lionel Messi. This is the story of sacrifice, heartbreak, determination, and a dream that refused to die. Stay with us until the end because every chapter reveals how an ordinary boy became an extraordinary legend. At just 4 years old, around 1991, Lionel joined Grandoli, a small neighborhood football club in Rosario. His first coach was Salvador Aparicio, but there was someone else who played an even bigger role. His grandmother Celia was the one who often took him to training and encouraged him to keep playing. One day, when another child failed to show up for a match, she urged the coach to let little Lionel play. The coach hesitated because Lionel was much smaller than the other children. Eventually, he agreed. Within minutes, everyone watching realized they were seeing something special. Years later, after scoring goals in professional football, Messi would often point toward the sky. Those celebrations were dedicated to his grandmother, who had passed away before seeing him become a global superstar. Her belief in him never left him. By 1994, at around 7 years old, Messi joined the youth academy of Newell's Old Boys, one of Argentina's most respected football clubs. There, his talent exploded. He dribbled past defenders with incredible ease. He scored goals almost every weekend. His youth team became famous for winning almost everything. People in Rosario started calling them the Machine of '87, referring to the players born in 1987. Messi quickly became the brightest star. Adults who watched him play couldn't believe what they were seeing. Some whispered, "That little boy could become Argentina's next football genius." No one imagined how true those words would become. If you're enjoying this journey through one of football's greatest stories, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. We bring you detailed documentaries that take you beyond the headlines and into the moments that shape sporting legends. Now let's continue. Everything seemed perfect. Then came devastating news. Around 1998, when Messi was 11 years old, doctors diagnosed him with growth hormone deficiency, GHD. The condition affected his physical growth. Without treatment, he might remain significantly smaller than expected, making a professional football career much harder. The recommended treatment involved regular growth hormone injections over several years. The cost was far beyond what the Messi family could comfortably afford. His parents did everything they could to keep his dream alive. Newell's Old Boys helped for a period, but long-term financial support was uncertain. The future became increasingly uncertain. For the first time, football alone wasn't enough. Messi's dream depended on finding someone willing to invest in a young boy, whose future was impossible to guarantee. As word of Messi's extraordinary talent spread, scouts began hearing stories about the small Argentine boy who dribbled through entire teams. Among those who took notice were representatives connected to FC Barcelona. One of the club's scouts, Josep Maria Minguella, helped bring Messi to the attention of Barcelona officials. In September 2000, when Messi was 13 years old, he traveled to Spain with his father for a trial. The coaching staff watched him train. Within minutes, many were convinced. His size didn't matter. His feet did the talking. Legend has it that Barcelona sporting director Carles Rexach, eager not to lose such an exceptional talent, agreed to formalize the commitment during a meeting and famously wrote the initial agreement on a paper napkin because there was concern another club might sign Messi first. Whether remembered exactly that way or not, The message was clear. Barcelona wanted Lionel Messi. The decision would change football forever. September 2000. Lionel Messi was only 13 years old. Most boys his age were worried about homework or playing football with friends after school. Messi was preparing to leave everything he had ever known. He hugged his grandparents, relatives, teammates, and friends. His mother, Celia, struggled to hide her emotions. Rosario wasn't just his hometown. It was where he had learned to dream. It was where his grandmother had first believed in him. Now he had to leave it all behind. Together with his father, Jorge Messi, Lionel boarded a plane bound for Barcelona, Spain. It wasn't a holiday. It wasn't an adventure. It was a gamble. If Barcelona decided he wasn't good enough, the dream would end. When Messi arrived in Barcelona, everything felt different. The language, the weather, the food, the culture. Even football looked different. Spain's youth academies emphasized quick passing, tactical intelligence, and technical precision. For a shy Argentine teenager, adapting wasn't easy. Messi barely spoke. He wasn't loud. He wasn't flashy. He simply wanted to play football. Barcelona arranged several training sessions. Among the coaches watching was Carlos Rexach, Barcelona's sporting director. Within minutes, they realized they were witnessing something extraordinary. The smallest player on the field was the best. Older defenders couldn't stop him. He dribbled effortlessly. He saw passes nobody else noticed. His balance was unbelievable. Every training session ended with coaches asking the same question. How can someone this young be this good? Barcelona wanted Messi. But there was a problem. The paperwork moved slowly. Messi's family couldn't wait forever. Other clubs were beginning to show interest. Concerned that Barcelona might lose the teenager, Carlos Rexach made a remarkable decision. During a meeting, he wrote an agreement on a paper napkin, promising Barcelona's commitment to sign Lionel Messi. That handwritten promise has since become one of football's most famous stories. It wasn't a formal contract, but it represented something priceless. Barcelona believed in him. Barcelona didn't just offer football. The club agreed to help cover the cost of Messi's growth hormone treatment, something his family had struggled to afford in Argentina. For Jorge and Celia Messi, it was overwhelming. This wasn't simply a football opportunity. Barcelona was helping save their son's dream. For Lionel, it meant he could continue growing physically while developing as a player. One decision changed everything. If you're enjoying this documentary, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. We create detailed football documentaries that bring you the stories behind the legends, not just the highlights. Now let's continue Messi's incredible journey. Messi officially joined La Masia, Barcelona's famous youth academy. La Masia wasn't just a football school. It was a place where future stars learned discipline, teamwork, humility, and respect. Young players woke up early. They attended school. They trained. They studied tactics. They trained again. Every day followed a strict routine. Many talented youngsters couldn't handle the pressure. Messi never complained. He simply worked. Despite his football success, Messi struggled emotionally. He missed Rosario. He missed his friends. Most of all, he missed his mother and siblings, who remained in Argentina for a time before later joining him in Spain. The quiet teenager often kept his feelings to himself. Football became his escape. Every time he stepped onto the pitch, the homesickness disappeared. The ball became his language. As Messi progressed through Barcelona's youth teams, something remarkable happened. Older defenders couldn't keep up. Some tried to foul him. Others simply watched him glide past. His coaches noticed qualities that couldn't be taught. His first touch, his acceleration, his balance, his ability to dribble in tight spaces, his vision. Most importantly, his decision-making. Messi rarely wasted possession. Even at 13 and 14 years old, he played with the intelligence of someone much older. By 2001 and 2002, Messi had become one of the academy's brightest prospects. Every youth coach wanted him in their team. Parents gathered around the pitch just to watch him play. Scouts from other clubs heard stories about Barcelona's tiny Argentine magician. Many couldn't believe the reports until they saw him for themselves. Behind every successful match was another sacrifice made by the Messi family. His father, Jorge, dedicated himself to supporting Lionel's football career. His mother, Celia, provided constant encouragement despite the emotional strain of moving countries. His brothers and sister adjusted to a completely new life in Spain. The family's sacrifices often went unnoticed by the public, but without them, Lionel Messi's story might have ended before it truly began. By 2003, Lionel Messi was 16 years old. He had conquered nearly every challenge in Barcelona's youth system. Coaches agreed on one thing: he needed a bigger test. That opportunity arrived when first-team manager Frank Rijkaard invited the teenage Argentine to train with Barcelona's senior squad. For most academy players, this was the moment dreams either came true or fell apart. The senior dressing room was filled with world-class stars. Among them were Ronaldinho, Xavi Hernandez, Andrés Iniesta, Carles Puyol, and Victor Valdés. Messi was the youngest player in the group. He spoke very little. He simply wanted to prove that he belonged. The first-team players expected another nervous academy youngster. Instead, they saw someone extraordinary. When Messi received the ball, he ran directly at experienced defenders. He dribbled past them with confidence. He wasn't trying to impress anyone. That was simply how he played. Several senior players were left smiling in disbelief. One of them was Ronaldinho. The Brazilian superstar immediately recognized Messi's talent. Instead of seeing him as competition, Ronaldinho welcomed him. He encouraged him. He spoke to him. He helped him settle into the first team. Years later, Messi would often say how important Ronaldinho's support was during those early days. Sometimes greatness recognizes greatness before the rest of the world does. At the time, Ronaldinho was one of the biggest names in football. He had already won the FIFA World Player of the Year award and would soon win the Ballon d'Or. He could have ignored the quiet teenager. Instead, he became his mentor. Ronaldinho often invited Messi to sit beside him in the dressing room. He encouraged teammates to treat the youngster like family. He celebrated Messi's successes as if they were his own. This friendship gave Messi confidence during one of the most important periods of his life. Many years later, Messi would say that Ronaldinho helped him feel accepted from the very beginning. If you're enjoying this story, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. Every week, we bring you detailed documentaries about football's greatest legends, their triumphs, struggles, and unforgettable moments. Now let's continue. The moment finally arrived. On October 16, 2004, at 17 years, 3 months, and 22 days old, Lionel Messi made his official La Liga debut for FC Barcelona. The match was against Espanyol. Frank Rijkaard brought Messi on as a substitute in the closing minutes. The stadium erupted with excitement. Few people realized they were witnessing the first chapter of one of football's greatest careers. Messi didn't score that day. He didn't provide an assist, but he looked fearless. Every touch showed confidence. Every run hinted at what was to come. Barcelona had introduced a new talent. The world had met Lionel Messi. After his debut, Messi understood something important. Making the first team was only the beginning. Staying there would require even more dedication. He trained relentlessly. He studied his opponents. He improved his strength without sacrificing his agility. Coaches praised his professionalism, while many young stars became distracted by fame. Messi stayed focused on football. His quiet personality allowed him to avoid unnecessary attention. His performances continued to speak louder than words. The defining moment came on May 1st, 2005. Barcelona faced Albacete in a La Liga match at the Camp Nou. Messi was 17 years old. Late in the game, Ronaldinho spotted Messi making a run behind the defense. With perfect vision, Ronaldinho chipped the ball over the defenders. Messi controlled it beautifully and delicately lifted the ball over the goalkeeper. The first attempt was ruled out for offside. Minutes later, Ronaldinho found him again. This time, Messi timed his run perfectly. He chipped the goalkeeper with remarkable composure. The ball bounced into the net. Camp Nou exploded. Lionel Messi had scored his first official goal for Barcelona's senior team. At 17 years, 10 months, and 7 days, he became Barcelona's youngest league goal scorer at the time, a record that would later be surpassed, but the moment remains iconic. Ronaldinho celebrated wildly, jumping onto Messi's back in one of the most memorable images of modern football. It symbolized the passing of the torch. One superstar was welcoming another. The 2004-05 season ended with Barcelona winning the La Liga title. Although Messi played a limited role because he was still breaking into the first team, he officially became a Spanish league champion for the first time. He was only 17 years old. It was the first major trophy of what would become one of the most decorated careers in football history. For Messi, it was only the beginning. By the end of 2005, football fans across Europe had begun asking the same question. Who is this incredible teenager from Argentina? His close control, his explosive acceleration, his ability to glide past defenders, his calmness in front of goal. Everything suggested that football had discovered a once-in-a-generation talent. Some journalists compared him to Diego Maradona. Others believed those comparisons were unfair. But one thing was becoming increasingly clear. Lionel Messi wasn't trying to become the next Maradona. He was beginning to create his own legacy. The year was 2005. Lionel Messi had just turned 18 years old. His first goal for Barcelona had introduced him to Spanish football, but outside Spain, many people still didn't know his name. That was about to change. Every time Messi stepped onto the pitch, he looked more confident. He dribbled with incredible balance. He accelerated like lightning. Defenders often knew exactly what he wanted to do. The problem was, they still couldn't stop him. Training sessions became almost impossible for Barcelona's defenders. One by one, experienced professionals were beaten by a teenager who looked too small to compete. But football has never been about size. It has always been about courage, intelligence, and skill. And Messi possessed all three. In June 2005, at 17 years old, Messi represented Argentina at the FIFA World Youth Championship in the Netherlands. It became his first major international breakthrough. Throughout the tournament, Messi dazzled defenders with his speed, creativity, and finishing. He scored 6 goals, finishing as the tournament's top scorer. He also won the Golden Ball as the tournament's best player. Argentina lifted the trophy, and suddenly the football world had a new wonder kid. European newspapers couldn't stop talking about him. Scouts who had ignored him before now admitted they had made a mistake. For Barcelona, this success confirmed what they already believed. They had one of the greatest young talents in football. The 2005-06 season brought a new challenge. Barcelona wanted to conquer Europe. With stars like Ronaldinho, Samuel Eto'o, Xavi, Deco, and a young Lionel Messi, the club had assembled one of the strongest squads in the world. Messi played an increasingly important role. His confidence grew with every match. Unfortunately, disaster struck near the end of the season. A muscle injury ruled him out of the final stages of Barcelona's UEFA Champions League campaign. Watching from the sidelines was heartbreaking. On May 17, 2006, Barcelona defeated Arsenal 2-1 in Paris to win the Champions League. Messi celebrated with his teammates, but deep inside, he knew he wanted to earn the trophy on the pitch. That disappointment would fuel him for years to come. If you're enjoying this documentary, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. Your support helps us continue creating detailed stories about the greatest players and moments in football history. Now let's continue. The year was 2007. Messi was 19 years old. Barcelona faced Getafe in the Copa del Rey semi-final first leg. What happened next became one of the greatest goals ever scored. Messi received the ball inside his own half. One defender rushed toward him. Messi slipped past. Another defender. Gone. Then another. Then another. He accelerated, changed direction, kept perfect control of the ball, rounded the goalkeeper, and scored from a tight angle. The stadium fell silent for a moment before erupting in disbelief. Commentators immediately remembered another famous goal. In the 1986 FIFA World Cup, Diego Maradona had scored an almost identical solo goal against England. The comparisons exploded around the world. Newspapers declared, "Is this the next Maradona?" For many fans, the answer seemed obvious. But those who watched Messi closely began saying something different. He isn't the next Maradona. He is the first Lionel Messi. Just weeks earlier, on March 10, 2007, Messi had delivered another unforgettable performance. Barcelona faced their greatest rivals, Real Madrid, in El Clásico. The pressure was enormous. Messi responded with brilliance. He scored 3 goals, becoming the youngest player at the time to score a hat-trick in El Clásico in the modern era. Each goal showcased a different strength, his speed, his composure, his intelligence. The match ended 3-3, but the football world wasn't talking about the result. They were talking about the teenager who had stood toe-to-toe with some of the biggest stars in football. In 2008, Barcelona made one of the most important decisions in club history. Former captain Pep Guardiola was appointed as the club's new head coach. Many people questioned the decision. Guardiola had never managed at the highest level, but he saw football differently. From his very first conversations with Messi, Guardiola recognized something extraordinary. He believed Messi wasn't just a winger. He believed Messi could become the heart of Barcelona's attack. Pep would soon make one of the boldest tactical decisions in football history. He moved Messi into a false 9 role. Instead of staying wide, Messi played centrally, dropping deep to collect the ball before driving at defenders. The change confused opponents. Center-backs didn't know whether to follow him or stay in position. If they stepped forward, Messi would dribble past them. If they stayed back, he had time to create chances. It revolutionized modern football. Around Messi stood 2 midfield geniuses, Xavi Hernandez, Andres Iniesta. Together, the 3 formed one of football's greatest combinations. Xavi controlled the rhythm. Iniesta broke defensive lines. Messi finished attacks and created magic. Their understanding looked almost telepathic. Sometimes they completed dozens of passes before opponents even touched the ball. Football became art. The 2008 to 2009 season became legendary. Barcelona dominated Spain. They dominated Europe. They dominated world football. Messi produced the best football of his career up to that point. He scored crucial goals, created countless assists, inspired his teammates. On May 2, 2009, Barcelona defeated Real Madrid 6-2 at the Santiago Bernabeu. It was one of the greatest victories in El Clásico history. Messi scored twice and tore Madrid's defense apart. Weeks later, Barcelona won La Liga. They also won the Copa del Rey. Then came the biggest match of all. May 27, 2009, Stadio Olimpico, Rome. Barcelona faced the reigning English champions, Manchester United, in the UEFA Champions League final. United featured stars such as Cristiano Ronaldo, Wayne Rooney, Rio Ferdinand, Nemanja Vidic, and Ryan Giggs. Many expected a close contest. Barcelona produced one of the finest performances in a Champions League final. Samuel Eto'o opened the scoring. Then, in the second half, Xavi floated across into the penalty area. Despite being much shorter than the defenders around him, Messi leapt high and powered a header past goalkeeper Edwin van der Sar. Barcelona won 2-0. Messi lifted the Champions League trophy after playing a decisive role in the final. It was the moment many people accepted that football had a new king. At just 21 years old, Lionel Messi had transformed from a promising youngster into one of the best footballers on the planet. He had won La Liga, the Copa del Rey, and the UEFA Champions League in a historic treble. Under Pep Guardiola, he wasn't just becoming a superstar. He was redefining how football could be played. But the greatest years of his Barcelona career were still ahead. The next chapter would see him break records that many believed would never be touched, win his first Ballon d'Or, and begin one of the greatest individual peaks in the history of sport. In July 2023, at 36 years old, Lionel Messi shocked the football world by joining Inter Miami CF in Major League Soccer. Many critics believed his best years were behind him. They said he had left Europe because he could no longer compete at the highest level. Messi answered the only way he knew how. With football, he transformed Inter Miami almost overnight, helping the club win its first ever Leagues Cup in 2023 and becoming the face of football in the United States. Week after week, stadiums sold out. Children wore pink shirts with Messi's name on the back. Fans traveled thousands of miles just to watch him play. Even at 36, then 37, then 38, his vision, passing, free kicks, and leadership remained world-class. As 2026 approached, one question echoed across the football world. Would Lionel Messi play one last World Cup? By then, Messi was 39 years old. He had already won everything: 8 Ballon d'Or awards, the Copa America, the Finalissima, the FIFA World Cup in Qatar, the Champions League, league titles, countless individual records. He had nothing left to prove, yet he returned to Argentina, not because he needed another trophy, but because he wanted one last journey with his teammates and his country. Argentina entered the tournament as defending champions, hoping to become the first team since Brazil in 1962 to retain the World Cup. Against all expectations, Messi continued to shine. He guided Argentina through the tournament with experience rather than youthful speed. His passing unlocked defenses. His leadership inspired younger teammates. During the group stage, he made history again, becoming the all-time leading scorer in FIFA World Cup history, surpassing Miroslav Klose's previous record. Argentina kept winning, round after round. The defending champions refused to surrender. When they defeated England in the semi-finals, Messi had reached his third FIFA World Cup final, an achievement matched by only a handful of players in history. If you've enjoyed this incredible journey through Lionel Messi's life, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. We bring you cinematic football documentaries filled with the stories, emotions, and moments that made the world's greatest players into legends. July 2026. One last match, one last opportunity, one last dance. Millions around the world watched as Lionel Messi walked onto the pitch for what many expected to be his final World Cup match. The captain's armband rested on his arm. His children watched from the stands. Argentina dreamed of making history by defending the World Cup. But football has always reminded us of one simple truth. Every story, no matter how beautiful, eventually reaches its final page. Argentina fought bravely. Messi gave everything he had. Every pass, every run, every ounce of experience. But this time, it wasn't enough. The final whistle blew. Argentina's dream of back-to-back World Cup titles was over as they finished runners-up. For a few moments, Messi stood quietly on the pitch, not in anger, not in regret, just taking in the moment. The same boy who had once left Rosario with tears in his eyes had now completed one of the greatest international careers football had ever seen. There would be no second consecutive World Cup trophy, but there didn't need to be, because his legacy had already been written. Some players are remembered for goals, others for trophies, others for records. Lionel Messi will be remembered for changing football itself. He inspired millions of children to believe that greatness isn't measured by height or strength. It's measured by courage, by dedication, by humility, by never giving up when life tells you that your dream is impossible. From a little boy with a growth hormone deficiency in Rosario, to the captain who lifted the World Cup in 2022, to the veteran who led Argentina on one final unforgettable journey in 2026, Lionel Messi gave football memories that generations will never forget. His last World Cup ended in defeat, but his career never ended in failure. Because legends aren't remembered only for the finals they win. They're remembered for the lives they change. And in that regard, Lionel Messi may have done more than any footballer in history. As one generation says goodbye, another begins to dream. Somewhere on a dusty field, a young child is dribbling past friends with a football at their feet. Someone will point and smile, and they'll say the words football fans have spoken for years. He might be the next Messi, but the truth is, there will only ever be one Lionel Andres Messi.